Hi, welcome to the StockinetteZombies. I'm Amy, also known as J Knitma.
And I'm Megan, also known as Just Run It, and this is episode 252. It is the Sunday after St. Patrick's Day, which we laughingly said we would, of course, have podcasted before then. But March has felt like a very busy month. I think I lamented that to you via messaging today. We've had a play that we've been going to daily practices for, and a performance, and my husband and his biker gang always has something for St. Patrick's Day, and it's just a lot. There's a lot going on. Same old, right? Everybody's got super busy lives. How are things been going for you? Good.
Yeah, it was warm the last few days for Minnesota. So getting outside and fresh air.
I feel a little sunburned. I went on a long run today, and after I got done showering and sat down, I was like, oh, I feel a little red after our bike ride yesterday and a longish run today. So, but yeah, spring is definitely ready to be sprung as far as I'm concerned.
We can hope.
Yeah, Jeremy was just quoting to us that there's a winter storm coming. So,
when would that be?
I think towards the end of this week. They're keeping an eye on it.
I know that the next couple of days are supposed to be like getting colder. So it's like, I gotta get outside while I can. Go.
Yes, definitely.
But I don't know what else has been going on. I mean,
life as we know it.
Yeah.
Me and my family had a sad. So the last time that we saw Chaz on the podcast here was the last time that we'll see him on the podcast. He had 15 great years with us, which it feels short when you talk to some of these people that have like 21-year-old cats. Because indoor cats live quite a long time. Growing up, we had outdoor cats, and they never lived that long, for sure. The winters are cold, and the cars running in front of cars and stuff has its hazards. But he was such a sweet cat, and he didn't deserve the pain that he was in. So we started noticing that he was in a little bit more pain, and we took him in. And I'm not going to share the gory details, but he was such a trooper to have dealt and continued to eat through some of the pain. He had a very aggressive mouth cancer that was eating the top of his mouth, which I guess the doctor told me, which makes me feel kind of like, are we feeding our cats carcinogenic food? So we lost Max to stomach cancer, that we thought, stomach/lung. And mouth cancer. She said those are the two things that they see in cats. Mouth cancer and stomach cancer, if it's a cancer. But it's the house, their constant presence makes their absence so poignant. For a while in the morning, it was very hard to get up. We have kind of a door in between all of our bedrooms, and he used to sit outside of it and wait for me. So every morning I saw his shadow on the other side of the door waiting for me, which is not there anymore. And he would follow me around as I was doing things for the kids and wait patiently for me to sit down with my cup of coffee, and then he'd plop in my lap. But he'd just follow me everywhere, like he was my shadow, right? Like, woman, are you going to sit down yet? I want to sit down. Are you going to drink your coffee? Come on, you've got your coffee. Sit down. Sit down for a little bit so we can, and he was just a really sweet, kind cat, and he will be greatly missed. So thank you for everybody that shared kind words and said that they would miss seeing him on the podcast. It's fun to think, I'm not capable of doing it now, but in the future I'd be able to go out and look, and every once in a while when I'm trying to find something in an old podcast, whether we mention something or whatever, we'd see Max sitting behind us. Chaz didn't visit us as much on the podcast, but when he did, he was kind of front and center. He didn't linger behind us as Max did. So yeah, it's been rough. We actually are going to San Antonio for spring break at the end of March, early April, and so we've kind of held off on well, not only to let ourselves heal, but also because, you know, you welcome a new cat into the house and you want to make sure that you're around when they're getting used to the home and not ruining things and learning the new lay of the land, right? So we'll come back. I'm excited about welcoming another pet into our lives. And that's not to say that we don't miss Chazamus dearly, but home just feels very empty to me without a pet. Mm-hmm. It's nice to always have somebody here. So yeah.
Yeah, we every once in a while we'll joke about getting a third cat, and I say joking because I don't know, it's a lot of responsibility to just kind of on a whim.
Yep.
So every once in a while it'll be brought up, and
mm-hmm.
not necessarily ready to go pick one out tomorrow, but yeah. That happened again this weekend. Where it was like we had one cat sitting on one arm rest and then one on the lap, and then wait a minute, we need another one right here.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, because I know that, and I know you can't judge things on the end of life with pets, but because we struggled and we didn't know that Max wasn't eating, because Chaz was eating his food for him, I don't know that we'll have 2 cats again, just because we're, you know, yeah. That one for now.
Okay.
One for now. Just so that we can make sure that we're taking care of the one well. But all of that to say, life goes on, right? Mm-hmm. Obladi, oblada. Mm-hmm. Life goes on. All right, so we have some Administrati. Mm-hmm. We had some KALs, an ongoing one, and the slumber party /birthday kits. Mm-hmm. That we had the KAL going on for, and we thank everybody that has participated in those. So the Scrappy KAL, I picked out the apple bag because it's one of my apples make me happy. Now that I've gone on my sugar journey, I've not had an apple yet this year, but maybe on a special occasion I'll cut up a slice. An apple. They have so much sugar. So much sugar. I don't even know if I like them anymore because my taste buds have changed so much. But apples used to be my favorite food. There wouldn't have been a day that I didn't have an apple. But the very reason why I loved apples so much was because I wasn't taking to sugar. So we've got a bag and a pattern of mine. I've got several patterns that are super great for scraps. So not only socks, but some shawls and some the colorwork hats. The mucklucks would be good if you had kind of some odds and ends laying about. So and if you hear any like English like colloquialisms sneaking in, it's because I've been watching Broadchurch, which I highly recommend, but it's kind of a downer.
She said like something govna to me.
I said, hello, govna. And I don't think that was in it at all, but it's the, yeah.
Where did that come from?
Blind me. But yeah, it's kind of like, it's not Sherlock Holmesian, but it's kind of like CSI, I guess. They're trying to solve crimes and they're detectives. I don't know. It's very dramatic and it's very addicting. Like binge watch worthy, right? Because you get to the end and you're like, oh, is it that person? I must watch the next one to find out. But ultimately very sad. Like first season is a murder, second season is 2 murders that they've kind of intertwined, and the third season is rape. Yeah. So you kind of distrust the world after you watch it. Like you're looking down the street going, what kind of shenanigans is that person getting into? Yeah. Not a ringing endorsement, but it is very good. Yeah. I think there's like an American version of it as well. We
Okay.
could probably ask Alexa and she would tell us, but she never listens to me anymore. I say Alexa and look, oh, there she did. I won't ask her. She'll probably be like, I don't know the answer to that. That's her standard answer recently. Again, a very ringing endorsement. All that to say, I drew for the Scrappy KAL. And I drew 2 winners for the bag and for... Can you follow the synapses firing in my head?
You seem genuinely mad.
She's angry at me. She doesn't listen to me anymore. Like, I will say something and then the kids will say it and she'll answer them. She's ignoring me. Alexa is ignoring me.
Sorry, I'm not sure.
See? She's not sure. Alexa, are you ignoring me?
No, I'm not ignoring you. I'm sorry if I didn't hear you.
See? She's sorry, quote unquote. Let's just put it that way. So 2 through 64. So that was in February. 61 entries. 62 entries.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Awesome. People are really embracing the scrappiness. You'll see a lot of scrappy socks in my pile. And so find out organically by watching the podcast, contact me, and either choose the bag or the pattern. So the 2 winners were 46 and 17. 46 is L. Mecoll, L-M-E-C-O-L-L. That's Linda. And she had like some socks. I can't remember the number she said. It was like 5 different opal yarns in there. Yeah, they were scraptastic. And 17 is Scully B, and that's Michelle of Little House Knits. I recognized her smiley face. So yeah, thanks for KALing with us there. And then for the Slumber Party kit, we have 1 birthday kit. So that's the bag of a yarn and a pin. And we drew from 2 to 9. And the winner was 8, which is AK47. And I think she did some recruiting on getting other people to join. So I appreciate it when she's looping hook out on podcast land and Instagram. But when Alicia joins in, it's always fun to see what she makes. And I believe that this yarn was definitely her color. Cool. So yes, Alicia, contact us about that. And because I've been ordering so much yarn and Generous Faces have been giving us stuff, we're going to do a Instagram giveaway. We haven't quite landed on the prompt yet, I don't think. But the theme is, or no, maybe it was
inspiration.
A theme, inspiration for a theme to enter. But it will be out on Instagram, and it's for this the Silver Shed USA woolly, so sheepy bag. We've got the Adorn It, everybody's favorite thing to say. Adorn it. Beautiful markers. This is a love set. I love you. I kept the St. Patty's Day one because they're green. And she's got some really fun wrap bracelets that you can put your markers on that she's been posting out there. I've been enjoying watching that. And then this is I think it's a self-striping from Show Me Yarn called Winter Woolies. So it's Woolly Love You. We Woolly Love You kit that we'll be giving away out on Instagram, and we'll do the drawing out on Instagram. So make sure you go out and follow us there and enter for this. But yeah, as we mentioned, we would like to know something that you would like to see translated as an inspiration into a bag or yarn or stitch markers. So
like Broadchurch.
No. Amy came up with that and it was like, oh no.
No, I was just laughing at you.
No. Because no, we wouldn't want Broadchurch. No. Like little pieces of evidence.
No. It could be Altered Carbon. Have you watched Altered Carbon?
No.
Okay.
I have not. We are not on the Altered Carbon train quite yet. Would you recommend?
It's an R-rated show.
Okay.
With hard R. Don't watch with kids in the room.
So no daytime on the weekend.
No.
Trying to sneak a peek.
No.
Walkers by will instantly see things that they shouldn't see.
Maybe not.
Laptop viewing?
That's if we do.
Just kidding.
No.
Sometimes my kids are so oblivious to anything that's going on, but the second something inappropriate is going on, right?
They're like,
what?
There.
Huh? What did they say? I was like,
what did I just see happen?
Yeah. No, I don't watch inappropriate things. I'm just saying, like, even like the mere mention of something in like a commercial, right?
Yeah.
They're like instantly, and I'm like, you had headphones on, you're watching something, and you're listening to music, and you're playing video games, like, because I don't know about your kids, but like, I'll walk in and try to change the TV. I'm watching that. I'm like, you have headphones on, and you're playing a game. Like, how could you be watching the TV? How can you have 3 things? Anyway, that's a their generation thing, I'm pretty sure. I don't play on the computer and watch TV and listen to music at the same time. Pretty sure.
Yeah, I've noticed a disturbing trend of people having YouTube videos playing while at work. And I'm like, well, they must just be listening to the audio, right? Mm-hmm. But it's on their, like, third screen. And you're like, but it's on their third screen. It's not minimized, mm-hmm. right? So they must be, like, looking over every once in a while, too. And I'm like, I don't think I could split my attention quite that far.
Yeah, I guess it depends. I don't know. There are some tasks at work where I have to have something else going to, like, the mundane tasks, I guess.
I suppose there's a few, but I don't know. It's just one of those things where I feel these people are younger, quite a bit younger than me. So I feel like, the generational thing. Like, well, maybe that's just how you work now.
Yeah.
And that's how you need to get things done. So got to have somebody tinkering on some sort of thing or playing a video game or whatever it is, and then you got your headphones on.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I was trying to think of what I was going to say, if you're following that thread, we went from things you really love to Broadchurch to Altered Carbon to complaining about our children doing or a different generation doing multiple things on electronics at the same time.
Well,
but can you think of a theme that you'd really like to see translated? Something I think mine would be A Wrinkle in Time, because while I did not enjoy the movie a great deal, really enjoyed the book. I think that could be translated. Like time and timepieces and wrinkles. I don't know. Meg and her spectacles and the witches and the misses. Sorry.
I've been watching a lot of weird, not conspiracy theory, but like just weird educational programs. Like there was one that was about the great hoaxes of history, and then so that was the Hitler diaries. Somebody said they had the Hitler diaries.
So you weren't kidding when you said that you're old, huh?
Yeah. And then just a program that has kind of a running theme through it, but it's kind of like a mishmash of like, well, there's this guy who's autistic and he's really good at this thing, and then there's this animal that's kind of like that same way, and then they're trying to weave a narrative through all of these things that are very different or seem very different, and but it's all just like little factoids about these animals or people or I don't know. Just seems to be interesting to me right now. Like, but let's see. Sherlock Holmes, always a good theme. Trying to think of something modern and recent. The Magicians could have those people.
We taped it, or we DVR'd it. Oh God, that made me sound old.
There you go. It's really old.
We DVR'd it, which is even really old, right? Like we should be watching it via some streaming service. But we never watched it. I just remember you doing the hand gestures when we podcasted. And you were like, and I want to go back and see if they're doing for the same spell, if they're doing the same hand gestures.
Well, that would be a good continuity test because they do a lot of weird stuff.
Okay.
But yeah, and that's still going strong, and I like that show.
Or how about The Voice? Oh gosh, that would be fun to have like an Adam and a Kelly Clarkson.
Okay.
And the juxtaposition of the Adam versus, why can't I think of his name? The country guy.
Blake.
Yeah. Anyway.
I like Kelly.
Yeah, she's so like oblivious to like any sort of awkwardness or social like constructs, right? Like she just lays it all out there.
I just like how Alicia made her push her button on one person. Pushed your button. She's like, you're gonna win. Like, what's the point of me turning around if you're just gonna take the person?
Yeah.
And so she turns around, like, out of respect or whatever, right? Like, I really want this person, but I just don't think I'm gonna get them.
Yeah.
And it's just funny. She's like, I'm gonna be right. She gets out of her chair and goes behind her chair. I don't know why. She cracks me up.
Or This Is Us. Oh, yeah. But that's another, like, kind of sad one. But you could have, like, a crock pot.
You know, it's really funny, is that I watched one episode and Matt's like, oh no, you're getting sucked in, aren't you? And I'm like, just this one episode.
Can't, it's like Pringles. You can't just watch one.
Oh, I can.
Oh, you did?
Oh, yeah.
Oh. Huh.
It was, let's see, I watched half of one when they first got that foster girl.
Mm-hmm. Deja.
But only half of one.
Oh.
I watched half of one, and it might have been the exact same episode because I don't watch it often enough to tell you, where the girl twin, again, see, I don't know their names. The girl twin was having a rough time with her mom, and she wanted to be a singer, and they wanted her to be something else. And
yeah, you really, I mean, it's one of the shows where you get invested by watching them. Like, you can't just, like, randomly pop in. Like, you need to watch it from the beginning.
No, I don't think so.
You do.
Mm-mm.
It's so good. So good. Kate.
No,
Kate and Kevin and Randall and Jack. They're part of my family, my heart family now.
Okay, so I'm just gonna say it. These jerks are too perfect. I hate them.
They're not too perfect. They're totally flawed. They're so flawed.
Well, the mom is flawed.
And yeah, no, I mean, even Jack is flawed. Like, he's been personified or like put up on a pedestal because that's what you do with people that pass away. You only remember like the really good things about them, right? And they're heroic and wonderful. But I mean, he had a drinking problem and he had to go to AA, and he's flawed. He's flawed, Amy. Anyway, I'm not going to push it on you. I'm just saying, I think it's part of like the fabric of our generation now. Like, I think it's like finding out how he died was like finding out who shot JR back in the 80s. Like, I feel like so many people watched that episode, and so it's like part of our social fabric. I think that's... But he was like, I don't care. I'm not going to answer a question on Jeopardy about it.
And by too perfect is that they're written, right?
Yeah.
And again, I don't know.
They have really good writing. Toby was on...
So I watched the wedding episode.
Okay.
That was the season finale. That's the one I got sucked into, quote unquote, from my husband. And then I saw them flash forward to the husband's depressive state, and I'm like,
Toby?
I can't do this. Sorry, I'm out. I'm out.
Toby was on Jimmy Fallon, and he was mentioning how in the show the writing's so good that they don't have much room to like improvise, but he's trying to work in This Is Us. So he's like, the closest he got was when they were at the bachelor party in Las Vegas, and a car pulls up, and he was like, "This is us." They still cut it out. So he says he watches every week to see whether or not his This Is Us made it into into the cut.
I bet they are so annoyed by that.
I bet they are too, but
The editors are like, God damn it, you ruined this take by putting the name of the show in here.
This is it. All right. So we did Administrati. We did talking about shows. We did Instagram giveaway. I think we're ready for the FO parade. I knit a metric butt ton of socks, and only socks.
Wow, only socks.
And only socks.
I knit a lot of hats and big things. I mean, not
Like weight.
Yeah, weight things.
Weighty things. Heavy things. Broad churchy things.
Broad churchy things.
This is ussy things.
I think my mental state right now is escapism, and This Is Us is way too real.
It is.
While being fake.
It I don't know. We could talk about it the whole podcast.
Arguing
but to me,
whether or not
it rings true of like losing a loved one, I guess. I mean, it's a little sad to me that like they are 20 years down the road, 30 years down the road from their father's death, 20 years down the road from their father's death, and it's still so deeply impacting them. Like
she let go a little bit.
She did.
At the end, she did.
Anyway,
I saw the whole one episode.
But that is life, and this is us, right? Like you're deeply impacted by the circumstances of your life, and dramatically and quickly losing somebody, like me losing my sister. Like it impacts you. Your every day. But anyway, blanket.
Other things
Escapism.
I don't watch: Game of Thrones.
I don't watch
Walking Dead.
I don't watch that.
Yeah. And This Is Us. I am out of the loop.
I am, and This Is Us. Like, Ellie and I watch it together every Tuesday. And we cry together. And we snuggle together. It's a mommy-daughter bonding moment. Anyway. No more. Cut it off. Talk about your blanket. Your big, heavy blanket.
Yep, it's done. It's got ends on it because that is the nature of homespun. I had to tie knots in the ends, and then I have to like poke them into places and then cut things, and it's still probably gonna end up with fringe because that's the nature of this yarn.
It's not wool.
Yeah, it is not. But I am enjoying it,
and that was all
it's
just
warm.
stash that you had.
Yep, it was in my basement. I probably have a whole nother blanket's worth of off-white and white, or cream and off-white, that I could make into something. But I think I'm done with that yarn. It could get donated. I'm done. This was it.
She done.
So I just used really big needles. I think size 25 needles. I won them in an Instagram contest, and all of this fit on like needles that were like this long.
Wow.
So, and I was lever knitting for most of it.
That's something.
So
she's gonna have Michelle Obama arms at the end of the
no, lever knitting made it a lot easier.
Yeah.
Is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, if you were actually manipulating the needles, yes, it would have taken forever and it would have been seriously tough. So if you're dealing with something this large and you have straight needles, I highly recommend throwing one of them down into your side and doing lever knitting. Just a quick Google, get yourself acquainted with the technique. But we had learned it in a class and it came back really quickly. And it does. It goes a lot quicker and you don't have to manipulate the needles. You just manipulate the yarn and just have a kind of a stroke going, and you're done.
And that's homespun held double, triple?
3 times. So yeah, that went really quickly. You could get quite a few rows done in an evening. But, you know, I'd set it down for quite a bit and pick it up and set it down and pick it up. So I didn't quite go straight through. I have a few places where I missed one. Here's one spot where something got dropped. So I put a little thing in there and I'll fix it later.
Or is the striping symmetrical or is it just random?
Well, I mean, it was sort of planned, but it turns out fairly random. Like
Very cool.
Yeah. I knew I didn't want to have the stripes too far apart, and I wanted them to kind of help blend or meld the 3 colors together, but not directly. Like, I don't know. This is a white and purple chunk. That's a blue and purple chunk. And then when the white and blue came together, it was just a hard line.
I didn't know if you like
Would be a hard
did a
line.
faded or any
No.
sort of faded out or anything.
No. Probably could have been interesting to do a marl. Could have picked up one.
You could have more than 4 colors or 3 colors. You could have had.
Yeah, or
mixture.
I could have taken one of the strands out of the, one of the colors and added just one of the strands.
But then that would have created a 3rd color or 4th color. Sorry.
Oh, well, yeah.
Yep.
But marled
Yes.
instead of just straight.
Very cool.
So that's that.
Have
thing.
you weighed that gargantuan?
It was 3.5 pounds. I did the conversions, but then it seemed kind of odd or clunky to go with 3.5 pounds when I didn't have a very accurate scale. So what I ended up doing was taking the the grams that were on each of the ball labels, multiplying that out, and then subtracting what I had left, because what I had left fit in a small thing that could fit on a scale. So that's how you see that I calculated that. I don't know how accurate the ball label would have been to the balls, but they were brand new skeins. So
yeah, generally those are understated, but so you're pretty safe, right?
Yeah.
You're not overstating it.
Right.
Generally, you get more yardage or more poundage ounces than you do.
But yeah, I forget how much it was, like 1,600 grams or something like that.
Thumbs up.
Go you. Yeah. And then, go team. Let's see. I have 3 hats from Harry Potter House. These are all hipster hats from Tin Can Knits.
Okay.
And I knit
They're
them.
supposed to be reverse stockinette?
Yep.
Cool.
That is the hipster hat.
That's what makes
pattern.
it hipster?
Yeah. No, I think the slouchy makes it hipster.
Are they knit?
Yeah, they're knit and then
Stockinette.
flipped.
Okay, got it. I was like,
No,
I would have flipped it if they did.
No, the pattern is written to knit and stockinette, and then you flip after you've finished. So they're reversible if you care. But with the stripes, you kind of end up with them being, I don't know, the jog area is a little noticeable.
Yeah.
But I didn't do as much shifting with my daughter's hat. She wanted the wider stripes.
So you cut and...
Yeah. So we had the Hufflepuff and a Ravenclaw and Gryffindor for me. Those are our accurate as of when we took the quiz houses.
I was going to say, was that for something? Are you part of like a house cup or something?
No, what it was I went online to buy some yarn, and
As you do.
As you do. And I got it in my head after looking at a particular site that I was like, you know what? The kids got sorted, and Justin's really into Harry Potter again for the 2nd time. And so I wanted to, and we had recently gotten our Pottermore accounts and got sorted and all that stuff. So I wanted to make house hats for us, and I bought this yarn. It's the Woolstock. Who makes that? Blue Sky alpacas or Blue Sky fibers. And when I got done making them or ordering them, I realized that Eat Sleep Knit is the one that does the yarn-a-thon, and there's a theme, and like last year it was candy, and then this year it's Under the Sea. So I got sorted when another time, right? So I got sorted into the hermit crabs, and when I got sorted into the hermit crabs, I had the plans to do Harry Potter hats, and they were having a Tin Can Knits knit along. And I'm like, I have a lot of tin can knit patterns. I can find something that I can make hats for us out of using a tin can knit pattern and et cetera, et cetera. So I was like, I'm going to participate. So I am working on...
You're a participator.
I am, to the Eat, Sleep, Knit, I don't know, whatever they call it. I can't...
Yarnathon?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's part of the Yarnathon, yeah. I'm like old school Eat, Sleep, Knit, I guess, because I was thinking about like when I first heard of the Yarnathon, they didn't have all of these teams and whatnot. You were just an individual trying to get to your Yarnathon. And so
maybe
this might be the third or fourth year that they've done this particular team activity, and this is the first time that I got a team and was like, you know what, I'm going to actually participate. So the next quarter is socks. And I have enough yarn from Eat, Sleep, Knit in the past that I can knit a couple pairs of socks. So anyway, that is for the Eat, Sleep, Knit challenge. Hopefully I can add to this with badges and stuff, because it's more of like, okay, now how do these things fit into a badge so I can get more points and stars and whatever. I'm new at it too, so I'm terrible. Like,
I laugh because I'm completely clueless. I was like, stars, badges, what?
Oh, but yeah, it's a whole thing. Like, I just deciding to participate. The more I read, it was like, whoa! I was just thinking that Tin Can Knits knit along, and there's just so much more that you can do.
It's kind of like This Is Us. Once you get under the covers, it really gets you. I gotta give you a hard time. Hey, that was on your needles last time you were here.
I say it yes, and it is done. Second wrap twice. This is another Tin Can Knits. It doesn't qualify for ESK because it has to be their yarn, and this is our yarn.
From the rainbow year.
Yeah. So I love this. I want to make a bazillion more of them. So I kept all the yarn in the project bag and added a neutral light blue, and I'm excited.
It's very scrappy.
I'm gonna make it again.
Very scrappy.
It was a lot of fun, and it just flew by. And if you like the outcome of this, fun knit, quick, super simple, loved it.
All except for that garter in the round, right?
But you have like the little breaks.
Yeah, that's still a lot of pearls.
I enjoyed it. Okay. Because you get a full round of knitting.
Yes.
Yeah. You have the slipping, purling.
Yes. No, I'm not saying it was not interesting, but it's just like when I knit a cardigan and I'm like, oh, these pearl back rows. So when you're knitting in the round, you don't expect the pearl back rows, right?
Well, this was a lot of fun, and kind of like the self-striping or anything where you're like, oh, I get to switch color.
One more row so I can get to the insert color here.
Yep, and there was a lot of that, and I enjoyed it. And you can play with the colors however you want. They had some that were just 2 colors, and some that were rainbows, and some that were just shifting hue, the same color palette. I don't know. I thought it was a lot of fun, and it flew by. That was a quick knit in my mind. I finished my daughter's socks.
You figured out how to make the second one the same as the first?
I did. And then I am hoping they still fit her. You know, you're looking at them going, oh my gosh, hopefully her foot hasn't grown. But I have been knitting on socks for me, so of course they seem
everything
a lot
looks small.
Yeah, everything looks small. So those are, this is out of Leading Men Fiber Arts in the, I think he called it Zombie Queen colorway. It was a one-off that he had done for us, and I think he should totally bring it back because it is super cool.
And you inadvertently striped?
Yes. Yep, this happened at this circumference with this tension, It striped, but that's not what it would do for everybody. Let's see. Then I got a bulky kerchief. I think I had
That
this
was on the needles last time, yep.
And
You
so
were trying to get it cast on and get it working.
Yep. So it's working, and it's warm, and it's gender neutral coloring.
What yarn is that?
It's a Rowan cocoon.
Okay, yep.
Rowan cocoon.
Leftover from a
Big sweater.
yes.
An oversized sweater. Okay, and we had gotten some yarn from
Unwind Yarn Company.
Unwind Yarn Company, and I decided to make a quick CC
Copycat.
hat.
Pretty.
So this and the socks need to go back to Lucy because she really wants to wear these.
The sparkle is sparkle-tastic.
Yep, and she loves blues and oceany colors, and so.
And why wouldn't you?
She likes this hat a lot.
I saw a picture of her wearing it.
Yeah. So that copycat hat is also very, very fun, simple instructions. It was a free blog pattern, so you're not going to get a PDF, but it is free, and it's out there on a blog.
I've seen quite a few of those.
The yarn was really fun, and I have enough to make another one because I weighed it, and there is enough to make another. So 2 adult hats for one skein of yarn.
Beautiful.
And it is kind of like a special skein, right? So.
Yeah, the only other time I've knit a hat out of sparkly, I really enjoyed it as well. It just gives it that extra little something.
Yeah, well, fairy dust.
A little magic mixed in.
And it feels like I should have more things done, but I have a giant blanket on my lap and a pile of stuff, but I'm sure you have quite a bit over there too.
So I think the last time we podcasted, I talked about the Luck Lucks. So they are a kind of, I call them a house sock because they're not quite slippers, but they're not quite normal socks either. They're a tall sock, and I would wear them around just kind of, I've been wearing them around just for every day. So something a little more substantial than the socks that I wear in my shoes. I wouldn't necessarily wear these in a shoe unless I was going for like a bulky, put it in a boot type sock. And I finished the other one.
Maybe clogs.
Yeah, yep. And I'm trying to remember, this is 100% BFL from, why is my brain not filling in the name of the dyer? I think it's because I'm trying to memorize too many places of pi.
She is.
I am 3.14159265.
Every time she opens her phone, I get a few.
Well, because I've got a web page open where I'm referencing it. So yeah, these came out. I did an Instagram giveaway that I thought was super fun. Kind of figured out in Ravelry that you can use the same coupon code and kind of stack them. So once one gets used up, you can have another one, and once that one gets used up. So there was some folks that got the pattern for free, and others that got it for $3 off, and others that got it for $2 off. So. Super fun. I am super loving these. I'm gonna leave them on. Yesterday was a fun day, St. Patrick's Day. My family enjoys a good St. Patrick's Day. We often host a gang of bikers to have corned beef and cabbage, which in the grand scheme of things, I don't think is particularly Irish. I've heard that's more American Irish, that's what they could get cheap once they came over to America from Ireland.
Still Irish, but
yes, yeah, but it was more like nouveau Irish. I finished up my socks with the Year of Self-Striping All-Star colorway from Mintrain Yarns. So this is the Megan's palette, and she had some out there for pre-order. I don't know how long the pre-order came about, but I think I was I think I had one done and I was finishing up the other the last time we podcasted because it went in I haven't talked about this pile, but they seem like they were so very long ago. Skews, of course, but I've been knitting a lot of not skews recently. In addition to my Luck-Lucks, I've got some Scraptastic socks and a new sock design that I am test knitting for myself, sample knitting, and I'll explain later. So this was leftovers from my Fall Come Back Now shawl, the Acid Trip from Leading Men Fiber Arts, and then my Pivot's favorite Huckleberry Knits. And I can't remember what, but it's, in certain lights it looks black, but it is definitely a dark navy with pops of purple. And I really enjoy this combination. I cast on and got working on it and was like, these are not going to be for my daughter. They're going to be for me. So this is my partying up and getting down sock. And I don't know, I played around all of these. I did the toe in the contrast and then I started the arrow up, and I really like it on this one with the contrast, but on these I think I probably would have enjoyed it more if like it had been orange, that V had been orange, and then you saw the going up. So I'm going to play around with that with more stripies. But absolutely love these. They're just, that color combination makes my heart go pitter-pat. The little pops of green and the pink. And so these were do-it-yourself stripes. I think it's fairly self-explanatory that you could do that in the pattern, but I might write up some notes. I had leftovers from my, where did I throw my other ones? Okay, I had leftovers from that Megan's palette that I knit into some Partying It Up rollers for Ellie. Her feet are, and I say this finally, not really finally, but they're finally growing. For the longest time I didn't really need to knit her socks because her feet were the same size. So I just washed the old ones and put them back in the drawer, and it got to be where her heel started to be further down her foot. So like when I knit these for her, she's like, "Oh Mom, these are too long." And I put them on and the heel cup is in the exact right place. So she had just started getting used to the heel being more and more under her foot. And this has some Camel City Dye Works is the contrasting heel. I think this is like Racket Tail. It was a mini that she had in a mini kit that I didn't use all of it. So some rollers for Miss L. Got a picture of her lounging on the couch. And her perfect day is couch, computer, and candy. So she was definitely on the couch and the computer while she was modeling these. But again, fun arrow up. And then this is not last year's, but the previous year's Let's Dress Crazy, Gilmore Girls inspired yarn from Query Fiber. It's a fun, like, I think it's 12 stripes, because that's why I picked it. And then I got US Game, unlike this year, because I was a fail.
Again, I have them all.
Sorry, we can order it for you. And then I did, for this one, I did a contrasting toe and a contrasting heel. And this is Electric Zebra from Lavender Loom. Yes, I love that color. Super love it. I have some Never Lost Together socks out of that. But yeah, as I was mentioning, I think I would like it better if the V was in that contrasting color and then you started seeing the colors going up.
Yeah, I could see that.
But I'm going to try it out on another pair. And she was just tickled pink that there was 2 brand new socks coming her way. So, yeah. It's like, win, totally knit worthy. And then I have 3 pairs of socks here. I was obviously in a green mood. This was the first pair that I knit. So it's a new pattern. It's called the Adventure Walk Socks. And kind of the inspiration for the pattern or the design is that my family and I go out on these adventure walks, and we never know where we're going, but we always have a good time, and we always just kind of willy-nilly decide things on the fly. And so this pattern has a set of 3 interchangeable charts. And so you can work the same chart over and over again, or you can kind of go through them, or you can alternate between 2. There is a full foot option, so if you're really, really feeling like doing the, and I don't have that pair here because I didn't finish it in this go round, but if you're really feeling like lots of these little faux cables, you can do a full foot, or there's a panel option, and you can offset it towards the middle or the left or the right. And so these were super wild. I absolutely love it. This is the Cherry Blossom colorway from Leading and Fiber Arts in their BFL base Spotlight, I believe. And I really love the hand of it. And I was thinking that the speckles would look nice, and they do, but the pattern, like if I were going to do a photo shoot of them, you would get lost. You wouldn't see it as much. So there's a panel, and then there's a panel in the back. And I can't remember what I did on this one. There's a veer right, veer left, and straight ahead. So I think I did a veer left, and then a straight ahead, and then a veer right. And I'm going to put a couple of recipes in the back. So like take a picture of the faux cable motif and say, if you want to recreate this, then you can do this chart, then that chart, then this chart. This is some spun right round in, I can't remember what the colorway was, and this will really show off the cables. And this is, here. This is the full foot option, and then the back, I put it on the back of the leg, I put the panel. So this is a pair that will get photographed, but so I'm sample knitting for a photo shoot with my family, because my family was the inspiration. So I've got this pair for me, this pair for hubby, and this is another panel option. And he tried these on, and he's like, can you make all of my socks like this? And I was like, what do you mean make all of your socks like this? He's like, this fits perfect. Like, it's the perfect tightness around my foot. I really like the heel, which is the Spacious OMG heel. So I think it was kind of his way of saying that some of his skews, the heel is a little bit too tight over his instep. And I think I made these super long, so I used like every last yard of this yarn. Because you can see he's got a really long foot, and the leg is almost as long as the foot. So that may have influenced it a little bit as well. Like, oh, I really like the tall socks. But this is, on one of the first ZKs, Memphis Holly gave me Dana of Unwind Yarn Company, it's Dirty Martini. And she said, I noticed you didn't have any in your stash. And I thought it stuck with me because she had like gone out and looked or, noticed that I hadn't had any in my stash. And so I was like, I'm going to remember. And I absolutely love these greens. Although compared to this green, it seems a little blasé. Like, green! Sort of beautiful, different tones of green. So yeah, he'll be wearing those in the photo shoot. And cast on these. I'll talk about my whip. Just go right into it. All of the green socks. This is Show Me Yarn, and this is Pickle Spring. And they have things named after Missouri, I believe. So there must be a Pickle Springs in Missouri. But yes, here's another little motif, and this is a sock for, their width is the same, so I have to decide whether it's for Dexter or Quentin. So if I'm really on it, I might have a pair for my mom, since she's going to San Antonio with us, and we might have like a picnic blanket and all of us wearing the Adventure Walk socks. Okay. Go for adventure, take a picture, memory, cement it. I've created this thing in my mind, and it might just end up being like 15 minutes of like throwing socks at people and being like, sit down, I'm going to take your picture. My mind, it's like this wonderful experience where we're all sitting together laughing, and of course I don't know how I'm going to be in the picture because I will be the photographer. Maybe I can take a picture like different.
Here, random stranger, come take a picture of our feet.
We don't have a foot fetish, I promise. And how did you get all those green socks that sort of match? I made them myself.
They would never ask.
Yeah.
Here you go.
Or just run off with my phone. But yes, that is a ton of socks.
Mm-hmm.
And I see myself as like a sweater knitter, but here I am just churning out socks. My family loves them. I mean, I can't understate that or overstate that enough. I think I've probably understated it. Like, Ellie wears them every day. I wear them every day. Jeremy wears them every day. And when my boys are really trying to suck up to me,
look at my socks, Mom.
I'm wearing your socks. And I'm like,
I get that.
Yeah,
I get that too.
yes.
Like, Matt gets it now,
Mhm.
so they are, but I don't know, I think it has to be really harsh winter for him to want to wear them. So we're kind of out of the sock wearing time of year for him. But when it's, for a good 4 months, they're his favorite socks.
Excellent. See, and I don't get cold feet and I don't get really warm feet, but I do come from a long line of sweaty feet people. And so when you just wear commercially bought socks, your feet get stinky real fast.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's, for me, they are the deodorizing factor of wool is important. And I think that's also why Ellie wears them a lot. I don't know if Jeremy just likes them because they're dress socks and he can match them or whatever with it, whatever suit or jacket or whatever he's wearing. But
he seems like one person to more accessorize than my husband. So, just be like, look at these cool socks I'm wearing today because they're cool.
Yes.
And
he does. He is very thoughtful about all of the pieces that he wears.
Yeah.
Does this tie go with this shirt? How about this?
Yeah. Yeah. So my whip, surprise here, is a hat
with wool stock.
Yeah. So this is in the vein of I did it for the KAL. So they have a badge that's about if you knit the same pattern in adult and child.
Got it.
Well, my kids' heads are all adult-sized heads now. I mean, they're 10 and 12, but they have my
That's
head.
a milestone to hit.
Yeah. So,
Ellie asked me that the other day. Mom, do you get born with the size head that you're going to have the rest of your life? And I was like, oh, honey.
Dear God,
Dear
no.
God, no. I'm like, your head was not that size when you came out.
Right. Yeah, so...
But I don't know when they grow. Like, do they just, like, constantly grow throughout your life? Or do you, like, hit, like, puberty and then you get, like, adult head?
I guess.
I don't know.
Yeah, so I am knitting a baby version of the hipster. So a baby hipster hat. It will probably go on Ice Bear. But to fit in with the other hats and to make something for my badge, I have the leftover yarn and might as well make it so. So that's what I'm knitting on there.
What else you got?
I have my scrappy socks. For the DVD challenge, you are allowed to do 1 pair of scrappy socks during the year. I didn't do that last year, but this year I decided to go through all of my scraps of DVD and find 3 that I thought went together. And I have 2 pairs of socks that ended up with enough scraps I could probably get a pair of socks out of just 2 scraps, but I thought all of these colors went really well together. So I'm trying to remember what they are. That's why I'm unfolding and whatnot.
Stall.
Yeah, stall.
Bring.
So the toe is one of their If They Kill series from The Walking Dead. I can't remember if it's Carl. It might be Carl. So If They Kill Carl, probably. And then there's a Yankee Doodle Zombie or Somebody Doodle Dandy. It's a 4th of July colorway. That's in here. And then there's Over the Rainbow. No, Somebody's not in Kansas anymore. That's what it is. It was one of their Wizard of Oz colorways, but it has the clouds. There's like, I don't know. Like a lot of them are zombie.
Are you striping them when you get to the change, or?
So what I'm doing is that I'm randomly striping them through, so the heel, toe, and cuff, so cuff, heel, toe, are all that if they kill Carl. Okay. But the other two seem to stripe together really well. Cool. Because they have blues and reds in them. And what I'm doing is just kind of randomly. Like, I'll go through like 3 rows and go, does this look like a good time to bring this in? Yeah, switch. Okay. And so they're not going to match at all each other. So yeah, you can see they're
uncontrolled chaos.
Yeah, they're
pseudo-controlled chaos.
Pseudo-controlled, because I mean,
you're making sure that they have contrast when you stripe it in.
Yeah. Yeah, but not like a lot, because I mean, this middle piece here that looks like a really large stripe is like 2 or 3 different of the zombie colorways together. Like there's a purple and a green in there. But when I get to the blue and white that's kind of cloudsy, I hate to break that one up, so you can see like that it's between the blues, and I liked that so much I did it again on this sock. But
it almost looks like those jackards or jackords or whatever they're called.
Oh yeah. So I'm excited to finish those up. I am nearly done. When you get past the heel on a sock, that's when they zoom. So
my husband nonchalantly mentioned to me that he noticed, I don't know where I thought he was looking when he said it, but that like seems like a really cool thing that people are doing where they have like the contrasting toe and heel and cuff. And I don't know if that was like I'm just gonna try to nonchalantly drop the hint that you should do that for a future pair of my socks.
Oh.
Because I was like, where is this coming from?
Yeah.
So I may have to do a contrasting heel, toe, and cuff for him in the future, since it's so cool and hipster.
Well, it's not even feeling like it's that noticeable in these, but yeah. I did it, so I know it's there.
Yep.
So hopefully that'll get done, and I will have a March. So I'll have the first 3 months,
woot woot,
which means I get the super discount. At the end of the first 6 months, I think I get that. And that will be exciting. For sure. I worked a little bit on the Miss Watson, so I can show a little bit of that. But I've been kind of hat crazy, so I haven't gotten too much done there.
Are you the one that's bringing all this snow? Knitting hats makes it snow.
Your knitting hat doesn't make it snow.
The other day I mentioned, oh yeah, I don't think, I think that it's supposed to, and Jeremy's like, nope, it's not going to snow anymore. And I was like, oh, you get to decide? Yep, I get to decide. And I was like, okay, could you have decided a little?
Yeah, a little sooner. And then I have another Tin Can Knits pattern out of some Eat Sleep Knit yarn that I bought a while back. This is Melantosh lace in the cherry colorway. It says discontinued on their website, so
I don't think they make a lace anymore.
It's a really pretty, and I have kelp too, a nice color. So I'm just excited to use some of this older yarn that I had purchased.
The
pattern? Interview? Intertwine?
I've not heard of that one. Is it an old one or a new one?
I believe it's a little older.
Okay.
And it's just a simple cowl with an open lace
motif
in it. Dead simple. 4 rows, I believe. Right?
Yep.
Real simple. And I can,
easy does it.
Yeah, mindlessly knit away on this. I think that the interesting bits are when you start and when you end. But the middle piece is dead simple. And I don't recall whether or not that was free, so I'm not going to talk about it much more than that. But there are interesting bits at the beginning and end. Just with, I don't know, how you finish it and how you start it. So. And, I will also mention that I got some yarn to review from the Brown Sheep out of Nebraska. And this And when I first started knitting, Brown Sheep Co. was the place to get, your 100% wool yarn, at least as I recall. And I kind of, I don't know, lost, like, that they existed in my mind. But this is their prairie spun, and it's really nice. And I
What
think
weight
it's
is it?
DK.
Okay.
So I'm knitting it kind of tight for DK,
Yep.
but I wanted the color work to be a certain way.
Yep.
And so I know how I knit color work, so I needed to go down.
Yep.
Quite a few needles.
Very pretty color combo.
Yeah. So I am basically test knitting my own motif into a mitten this time, and then with this, and then if it works out well enough, I will start to finish all of the stuff that I've basically. I get to a certain point where I'm like, I'm comfortable with how this is working out, and then I've stopped knitting on it. So I need to get to the point where I want to write them up.
Yep.
Right now they're just fun to play with, and I don't finish them.
Functional swatches.
Yeah, functional swatches, basically. I'm swatching until I'm like, yep, got it, and then I set them down. But I really like this color combo, and I can't wait to see it in its finished product.
Very pretty.
But I have been knitting on so many other things. Getting the blanket off my mind was a big whoosh. So as soon as I finish up my tin can knit Hatapalooza here, I think that I'll be back into like, oh, what sweaters can I work on? Have whatever.
Yep.
But yeah.
Okay.
That's a lot.
Yeah. So my work in progress is yet another sock. I already mentioned it. I don't know that I held it up. I really love this black, gray, and Kelly green striping sequence. I think that kind of faux cable motifs look good in self-striping because you have those larger, rather than random colors kind of mixed throughout like a heavily variegated words. They are working, or like these speckles, right, where you just kind of get random, where you can't quite follow it because it's gotten to be a different color. With self-striping, it's fun to do those faux cable motifs. And then I have another design on the needles. You would never be able to guess by looking at it, but this is going to be a top for Ellie. I won't reveal the secret sauce, but I did get judged tonight because I was telling Ellie about it. I'm like, I'm finally knitting you a top, Ellie, and I've got this colorway. Oh, here's my swatch. And it's from the Twist Fiber Studio back when she had a Kickstarter.
Oh, okay, yeah. It's matchy.
Yes, it's Vivian. So I was telling Ellie, like, look and see, it matches the bag. And I got a very heavy eye roll from my husband about like, oh dear, what has my wife bought into? And I was like, hey, this was from a long time ago. It's not like I just recently decided to get a bag and yarn that match. Not that you have any room to like judge, sir. But yeah, just playing around with a fairly heavily variegated, or hairy variegated, as I said earlier, colorway, and knitting it into a summer top. So more coming on that. But Ellie was like, can I have the bag after you're done knitting the top so that I can use it while I'm wearing the shirt? And I was like, I don't see why not. Do you have need for it? And she's like, no, maybe we can coordinate and you can bring your knitting in that bag when I'm wearing the top, and then we can point out to people that they were one inspired. That's that generation, man. All right, I have quite a bit of enabling, and we've got a review and some gifts. Okay. Yes, the Vogue Knitting book.
I know.
The tome.
It's a very good one.
Yes, yep. So I have continued, I can buy yarn much faster than I can knit it. In fact, my motto now is that sign that somebody took a picture of, I can't remember at what festival, that it said, I've come to the conclusion that buying yarn and knitting are completely separate hobbies. They are. Girls got a problem. Totally keep buying yarn because it's pretty and I love it, and I'm doing things with it, but not at the pace that I'm purchasing. So I wanted to show off. I got a new knitting bag. This is from Multi-Crafty Guy Makes, a new to Etsy seller, and I was his first purchase. I know he sold bags to his knitting group and other people, but his first Etsy purchase. And I had to have this because it reminded me so much of my Grandpa Byrne, who wore shirts like this with these pearlized snaps. I absolutely love these pockets on the external pockets that are actually functioning. I love the contrast zipper. It's just, it reminds me of my grandpa every time I look at it. And that's a good thing. It's not literally his shirt, and if I had been talented or thoughtful enough to, when he passed away, to have grabbed a shirt that reminded me of him, I could have had a bag literally made, from his shirt. But it reminding me of him is enough. So go check that out. Super fun. And then we also got a bag from your mom and from Finland. This is Finnish.
It was
Rusa.
Yeah.
So thank you to Rusa. She ordered a bag from your mom and had extra sent the fabric and had extra left over, and your mom made us bags.
Yeah. So they are. I think Alice in Wonderland theme, just kind of looking at the different things, but
I like the gal with the owls on the top of her head.
Very cute.
Yes. And it's fun to know that this is fabric that you probably can't get here in the United States.
Yeah. And if you can, don't tell me.
Yeah. I don't want to know. We'll just pretend that we're very exotic and fancy. Yes. Knit Spin Farm has started dyeing yarn, and she has some very unique bases. That's what got me, in addition to the green. So this is County Clare on her Tardy Sport. It's fun, and it's also fun. I feel like a scientist, sort of, like a wool scientist, like to look and say that she probably used the same exact dye on these two, and how different they turned out. So this one is a lot the Tardy Sport. The Tardy takes it, and it's a lot darker and more dense, and the Corriedale is kind of more of a effervescence, I guess. Like it's got more variation within each color instead of the strong color. So this is sock weight, and it's 75% Corriedale, 25% nylon, and this one is 90-10 Tardy nylon. Thank you, Joanna. I love me some green. It's fun to think of this, like, I know that this didn't come from any of her animals, but out there frolicking with her goats. Like, she totally rubbed these on her goats before she sent them to me, right? Like, little goatness on those for Megan. So, yes. Super fun. And I was Instagram enabled by an awesome coupon code from Knit Style Yarns. They kind of address some, not slang, but like common culture terms on her podcast, The Stitch Mistress. And so they discussed frenemies. I believe this one is, yes, frenemies. And there's 2 of those. I've been pseudo-obsessed with buying the 2 skeins of soft yarn to make summer tops, and I thought this would be really pretty summer top. And these 2 are best friends, and the lime green and this one just totally got me. I was like, well, I have to get that. In addition to a discount that made them like a price point there, I was like, and that one, and those 2, and that 2. And then this one is Twilight Princess. So some very pretty blues and grays, light grays, dark grays. And as people are wont to do, they threw another skein in for us to give away. So this is her, these are all merino nylon, the ones she sent along for you guys. Cashmere nylon. Yes. And it's Vietnamese as well. Nice. Super soft. Knit style yarns. Okay. They also fit in my tub. I'm not saying that they close easily, but they still fit. It's a little harder work than it used to be. And then Amy gave me a nerd. Little green nerd. I have a t-shirt that is red. I don't know that it has a green guy on it because it might be more, that would be more Christmassy. That says Nerds Gone Wild. I may have worn it on the podcast in the past. So, thank you. It's super cute.
Megan got me a Knit Picks one, but I put it on a top secret item, so I can't show it to you.
Were you very virtuous and did not buy anything?
Oh no, I was not.
Okay. Well then, I'll look again. I want to see what you got.
I got my 3rd month of my
Amy's personal.
My personal Leading Men Fiber Arts
Yarn Club.
So I got Twilight Sparkle, speaking of princesses. So I have my dramaturg, and then my little mini skein of the soft yarn. And again, I'm going to do something with them. So my brain is trying to come up with what I want to do with them. But for now, it's just collection. And I pulled out some of my other dramaturg that might be from past years or something, but like I had that, the colorways right there, the cherry blossoms, and I hadn't knit with it yet, so I put that with all of my other ones too. I was like, oh, I'm just going to keep adding the dramaturg colors over there. So, super pretty. But I must have knit with a lot of my dramaturg already, because my stuff that hasn't been acquired this year, I don't have quite that much left. So.
Yeah, hats and knit Preston sweater out of that really pretty green.
Yep, and then I did the, oh, it's blocking, that's why it's not here, that frieze shawl.
Or
so,
frisé.
Yeah, it's done, and it's just, it curled a lot, so it's got a block. And I just did that this weekend, so it's not dry.
All right, I'm going to pull up on my phone the note from the fabulous publisher, Sterling Publishing Co., that sent us this book. I think I've seen quite a few people, so this is a brand new edition of it, out on Instagram talking about whether or not they should make the investment. So they've rehauled it, and it's the ultimate knitting book. So there was over 1 million copies sold of the previous ones, and I think this is kind of a conglomeration, yes, completely revised and updated version of it. And so, yeah, excuse me because I can't just remember all of these details off of the top of my head, but for the past 15 years there have been many exciting advances in knitting. Agreed. And it was time for an update. So there's an expanded library of cast-ons, increases, decreases, and bind-offs, an in-depth section on brioche, entrelac, double knitting, and mosaic knitting. So those must be, oh no, those were former trends that are now favorite techniques. There's new designs and construction chapters. There's comprehensive chapters on lace and cabling. So 70 plus pages of new material throughout, over 1,600 photos. And I will have to say, that is the thing that is the most striking to me, is that it's not just words. Like, there are tons of illustrations, there's tons of diagrams, the amount of tech editing, just knowing from my own book experiences, and illustration and graphic artistry that went into this tome of a book is phenomenal. Phenomenal. Like, the last time we were looking at it, you pulled up like here's an illustration of you picked up too many stitches for your button band. Here's the illustration of you picked up too many. Here's an illustration of, right here I can see a picture of knee sock and how you would measure for creating a knee-high or a flat-high sock. So it's basically an Encyclopedia Britannica for knitting. Like the door-to-door salesman back in the day. I bet my kids don't even know what an encyclopedia is.
I don't know. The other day I was watching How I Met Your Mother, and Ted Mosby had put the Encyclopedia Britannicas on the top shelf that he had installed, and it fell down and tore a hole in the wall or whatever.
Oh, because was that the one where they're trying to get their deposit back?
Yes.
Yes.
She knows.
I've seen all of them.
Yeah.
And I watch a lot of them on when they're on syndication. But yes, just every page has a minimum of like 2 or 3 photos, if not a billion. As she's flipping through, I'm just like, oh, and that. So there's stitch patterns, there's bind offs. It is just a resource. If you are somebody that enjoys really getting into how things work, why things work, what they look like, why they look like that, I think this is a resource that you have to have sitting on your bookshelf.
Yeah, so, I mean, there's a lot of stitch patterns, let alone anything else.
Instructional,
but,
yeah.
If it's like 2-color brioche and then pictures of each technique and what it would look like versus the other one. Mm-hmm. So, just a quick, show of, okay, this is the brioche and how it will look on side A and side B and side A. It's very comprehensive.
Yep.
So you can kind of get a sense of well, I kind of like the way that one looks over that one, so I'm going to change the pattern a little bit as, compared to what's written so that I can get that effect.
Yep. And the IT person in me, like the computer person in me, kind of is, oh, but it's a book. But to be honest with you, it's got such a great index, and everything is, there's a huge index in the back. So if you were interested in, if I'm just pulling out something here, blocking socks, you would go to blocking and you would see socks. And I'm guessing that if you went to socks, there would also be a blocking. So there's lots of cross references. I don't know. I just think it would be if you were an LYS, you for sure needed to have one of these just sitting around for people to be able to reference on a whim. If you're a hardcore knitter that had a coffee book table, just to have this to pop open and look at. If you're a designer and wanted to be inspired by a technique or a stitch pattern, super helpful. If you're a person, again, that really wants to be able to dive into, here you're fixing a cable.
So they have how to fix a cable by cutting into the fabric and reversing the direction of the cable. I thought that one was really interesting.
Or dropping down, same thing, right? Putting a lifeline in.
But see, again, some of the stuff, it's oh yeah, but what was new to me? I'm cutting to reverse a cable in the middle of something. You have finished the entire back of the sweater. Maybe you've even sewn the whole thing together, and you see that one dang cable that's reversed. Well, you can't go down and fix it. You can't, it's how am I going to fix that? Well, they have a technique for how you can fix it by cutting in. Darning and mending things and the different techniques you might use for darning them. I like this one lately, the weaving technique. I've been using that on my socks a lot lately.
I've done a lot of the more applied, where you SSK on one side, then so you're actually kind of creating a patch within the fabric. Yeah. I don't know if that's the same.
Okay. But I'm
Yes.
preferring the weaving. It has less of a bumpy texture to me.
That's true. Yep. Where you decrease on the edges, or the plied edge piece is a little thicker.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm having a hard time even looking up because I want to look at this as you're flipping through. So finishing, seaming stuff together.
Yeah,
super.
and again, like just being able to show you like what that's gonna look like when it's done correctly.
Mm-hmm.
So like you can kind of see it in, it's not a perfect seam. You can see where they did it.
But when you're specifically looking for it, yeah.
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 Oh yeah, you're not going to see that on the garment,
no, especially if it's under the.
But if they're telling you right here, like we put these things together, you can kind of tell that there's a little bit difference in this.
And I can tell you from trying to knit up like different variations for my photo shoot and to kind of publish that recipe, that's not an insubstantial amount of work. All of those different variations. I mean, illustrations in and of themselves are very complicated because you're trying to make things look like real life, but actual pictures of knitted fabric. They probably had a lot of sample knitters super busy for a long time. So yeah, it's a great resource. You should definitely, if you're at all interested in knitting and techniques and kind of expanding the tools in your toolbox, I think this is a great reference. Buttonholes.
Yeah, there's like so many different buttonholes here, and then also like eyelets versus, and then like whether you want it to be a horizontal or vertical.
Yep.
It's a lot of good references in here.
Yes.
And again, some stitch patterns and other things too.
Mm-hmm.
So just the compendium, I guess.
Yeah.
And then I guess another thing that I will say about Vogue Knitting is the Jessica Jones has been all over the place. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, she has a
Kristen Ritter.
Yeah, she has a pattern out on We Love Knitting. No. Yeah. Yep. Okay. I was trying to remember.
I think so. Or is it We Are Knitters?
We are knitters. Something we. It's not This Is Us. It's We Are Knitters.
Yeah. And if you follow Kristen Ritter, you'll see that. And I think she has her own hashtag, Christian Knitter.
Mm.
So her spelling of her name is unique, right? So it's
Ritter,
just Christian, and then it's Knitter instead of Ritter.
Yes, got it. Yeah, she was on Steve Colbert, and was super excited about being on the Vogue Knitting cover, and he was kind of poking fun at her.
Yeah, a little bit.
Like, that's a big deal? Vogue Knitting is a big deal? And not Vogue, but Vogue Knitting? And she's like, oh yeah, that's when you know you've made it in the knitting community when you're on the cover of,
It was kind of funny because I saw the Facebook post where people were like, he said an 80-year-old woman in the cabin and blah, 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 and that's, and she was saying something about, I think I make this look good, and she had like a couture dress, et cetera, et cetera. But to me, I'm like, oh, the reason he made you 80 is because he stuck his foot in his mouth by saying he wanted to be in a cabin with a young lady.
I think I saw that, like him like backpedaling on that, and then I watched The Rock on International Women's Day. He was trying to get his daughter to repeat things, and so she was repeating them. In the end, he said something about like, and Daddy is the sexiest, strongest. Oh, you probably shouldn't be saying sexiest about Dad. And it was like, both of the men were like backpedaling, But yes, so I thought that he made it seem she made it in the very least seem like a very youthful, like, cool people are doing this. I mean, if you were getting your makeup done for hours at a time,
and just waiting on set, that's what I hear is why, you need something to do, you need a hobby.
Yeah.
What else was it? Oh, she was on The Daily Show with Trevor Noah, and it was funny because she was talking about her movie, and she seemed kind of distracted, and she was, she was answering him, but I don't know, she didn't seem like she was hearing him that well. It was very awkward. But then he asked her about the knitting, and you could just see, like,
Yep.
her face lit up. She was excited again. She was in it. You know, I don't know if she was jet lagged or what, but they were having communication issues. And then as soon as he started mentioning knitting, like, she got way more engaged. She seemed to lean forward. She was smiling more. And it was like, see, that's what it does to people. And I could see in her a kindred spirit because of how much she lit up when somebody asked her about it. Because some people, they knit, like, Anna, from Frozen, can't remember her name right now, but,
not Kristen Chenoweth.
no, but yeah, getting closer. Apparently
Bell.
Kristen's really liked to knit.
Kristen Bell.
Okay. Kristen Bell is a knitter, and there was an Instagram post from her husband where he was filming her and she was knitting something, and he said, like, some crack about I've married my grandmother or something like that, and she kind of shot him a look, and I'm like, good for you.
I've been noticing the gal from It's Mingy on Instagram.
Oh, yes.
She's from Mamma Mia.
Yes, beautiful big eyes. I know who you're talking
anyway,
about.
she's knitting a Stephen West, like, Marled Magic sweater.
And I follow her. Dang Instagram
algorithm.
I follow her. Why am I not seeing her little...
Yeah, and it's gorgeous. So she's knitting a sweater holding multiple yarns double. It's kind of scrappy and it's beautiful. Yeah,
Cool.
it's so fun to see knitting kind of hit, like, to us it's like our everyday, and we can't imagine a world in which everybody doesn't know about knitting. But there's a lot of people that, like, these younger actresses, or, you know, that this is bringing it into the social fabric, kind of like I was talking about with This Is Us. That's what we need, somebody on This Is Us to knit. Would you watch it then?
No.
Okay.
I wouldn't.
Okay.
So Kristen Ritter, though, to me, she's taking it to the next level because she's putting her name on kind of hip and trendy, like, because, I mean, if you think about celebrities that have lent their name to things in the past, hers is just kits, but, and knitwear design, but, like Vanna White, you know, has a line of and Deborah Norval, I think, has a line of yarn. I don't see them as knitters. Like, I honestly haven't seen them knit. So, like, to me, it's like a disconnect. Like, they put their name on it, but where is the connection? Did they just it doesn't seem exactly right. Whereas when Miss Ritter brings on her big chunky stuff and is
casting it on,
trying to talk to Stephen Colbert, and then he's doing something random and she's talking, and then she just starts knitting.
Yeah.
You know, as if, like, yeah, this is what I do when I'm talking to people, is I use my, you know, and it didn't stop her at all. She just kept going.
I wanted to help him so badly.
I know.
I was like, tell him that the first stitch is the hardest. Like, you know, help him get that first one, and then after that, I don't know, those edge stitches get you when you're a brand new knitter.
Yeah,
and hard.
And she pointed out that it's also really hard to teach across the table from somebody. Like, you kind of need
behind them.
Yeah, you need to sit right next to them and be able to kind of
like or have like a ghost moment, like with the clay.
But yes, to see
her on Vogue,
a young, you know, in the cultural. Because Jessica Jones is a fairly big show, right? And it's part of the Marvel universe. To have somebody with that much cachet or whatever, kind of like, hey, look, knitters. Because I know that I know of other people who knit in behind the scenes in different television shows, and that you can kind of see that it gets snuck into the show, and you're like, oh. You know, but it's like a you know, wardrobe person or a casting director. You know, it's not the on-camera person.
Yeah, no, I've heard that Pretty Woman. Why can't I think of her name?
Julia Roberts.
Julia Roberts. I've heard that she knits. think she for real knits.
I think the other one that Katherine Heigl, she actually knit on Grey's Anatomy too. Because I remember when she had that, they had that storyline where she was helping Meredith knit something. I was like, she's actually knitting, like, you know, because sometimes when people, they're just kind of like, I don't know, they're not knitting.
Yeah. They're holding two things and going like this.
Yeah.
Yesterday, Ellie was trying to tell somebody that my mom, I'm doing this because my mom is knitting, and I was like,
what's this?
That looked a little bit more like Gangnam Style than it did like
or
knitting, right? Like she was like, I'm like, come on, Ellie, you know how to actually knit. But yes, I guess apparently this is like the international knitting signal. All of that to say, if you don't have this resource at your fingertips, you should. I think it's a great addition to any knitting library, a good perusal, a good troubleshooter, well indexed, I'm a visual learner, so to me, to be able to go out and reference something like this is invaluable.
Yes.
So
Awesome.
so voguey. All right, ZK. We sent out the get involved.
Yes.
Which is a monumental moment in ZK planning.
It is.
When a bunch of stuff converges and we say, get involved! So you can sign up to teach classes, and you should, because you have so many things that you know about and you can teach people. It could be a very short session about like styling stuffies, or it can be a very long session about blocking, brioche, color work, special techniques,
spinning,
variety photography. We've had folks do things about double knitting. So if you've got something that you're passionate about and you want to share, for sure, sign up. We have the t-shirts that you can go out and purchase by the end of April, and the deadline is in the email. We've got the fun bus has filled up, the bus out to 4 daughters, because that was limited 46 spots. But we've got the 5K that is open to any and all. There's just a deadline on there so that I can order an appropriate amount of swag. We announced Alexis Winslow is going to be our guest speaker, and I'm so excited. I love Alexis. I've gotten to see her, I think, every single time I've gone to Rhinebeck. She lives in New York City, so I saw her the first time when we went. Last year I saw her on the hill underneath the really pretty picturesque tree and got to talk to her then. She's got a bunch of really pretty patterns out. Amy and I are big fans of her work. Very graphic, very fun geometrical shapes. And we have a thread out there saying, let's give her a warm welcome. And of course, her patterns also apply for the designer bonus in the KAL, which is super exciting.
And so her
dad mitts.
The dad mitts are a new pattern, but the dad hat, I believe, is something that you can get for free for signing up for her newsletter. So if you wanted to get a free pattern, that's just a hot tip. Go out and sign up for her newsletter, and you can get that pattern for free. And then she's very clever, very creative, and I am just really interested to bring her into Rochester and see what she can show us. And then she's Knit Darling.
Knit Darling.
That's her designs.
What else went out in that sign up email? Seemed like so much. All of the linkage. I really like to link things.
The KAL, we had a few more people sign up since the email went out.
Excellent.
So, if you haven't done that yet,
be on Team LOL or Team Love. I'm not biased at all.
You can't pick your team though.
No. You just go out and say that you want to be on a team, and then you get assigned, randomly assigned. Sometimes it's 2 in a row, sometimes back and forth, 3 in a row. You don't know. You don't know.
You don't.
So, yeah, and then we've got so much going on behind the scenes. So much. I'm super excited about so many things that I can't tell you about.
Yeah, we have things on order.
Yep.
Things
in the
planned.
works.
Yep.
Other things in the work. Other things in the works.
Blah 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 blah. I can't tell you, so it just
Charlie
sounds like
Brown
nothing.
teacher
Wah,
voice.
wah,
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 yeah.
wah, wah, wah. But yes, super excited about it. And when it hits springtime, daylight savings time, having it be a little lighter out later makes it feel more summer-like. I don't know about you, but like telling my kids to go take showers at 7 o'clock and they're like looking outside and it's like, it's still kind of light out. You know, like things haven't, feels like the schedule is stretching later, and that makes me feel more like summer, which makes me feel like, yeah, June is almost here.
Yes.
But lo and behold, we are old hat at this, so there's nothing to freak out about. It's just kind of that event planner
Yes.
anxiety.
Yeah.
What have I forgotten? What do we need to do?
The thing that is bringing me joy is just looking forward to that spring break.
Yeah, I'm going to San Antonio. So Google has very creepily started bringing in like into Instagram like the Yarn Barn San Antonio into my ads.
Goodness.
Yeah, I don't like that. Don't spy on me and put it right in my face. That said, if you are a knitter down in San Antonio, please let me know some places that I should go. I'm planning on bringing a few of the samples from the book just in case I stop by anywhere, if it fits into my luggage. And we are renting a Airbnb, so I could probably ship something if I needed to. But what are the LISs that I need to go check out? We are going to do like SeaWorld and Schlitterbahn and Six Flags and all of the things. But we're going to be there like 8 days, I believe, 7 days, 8 days.
Wow.
So we'll have some time.
That's a long one.
I should have some time to go check out some LISs. So if you're down in the SA area, let me know. Comment on the threads. Where should I go? What should I see?
Yeah.
Google told me the Yarn Barn. So
Tickets haven't been bought yet, but we're hoping to, or hotels haven't been booked yet, but we're hoping to see some Chicago.
Fun.
Yeah. Haven't been with kids yet.
Chicago, I've flown to Chicago before, but that was because I was going to have to drive by myself for Stitches Midwest. It's totally drivable.
Yeah. Yeah, we haven't decided on that yet either, but it's like, well, we probably should do that, and then I kept mentioning it this weekend, and it kept getting put off, so
That is what happens.
I can't say for sure that I'm going to be somewhere, but I'm hoping to make it to Chicago for spring break. Although San Antonio and swimsuits sounds like fun too.
It makes it hard. We've been warm places before, like even just driving down to like Branson, Missouri. It does make it hard to come back up here to the colder weather because it won't be nearly that warm for a while up here. But it is nice to get some vitamin D and feel the warmth for a short bit. Yeah.
All right. Bye.
Bye, Hoopta.